Welcome back to GoldSeek TV. I'm here in Zurich with the president and CEO of Banyan Gold, Christie. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to meet you here a year later after a pretty exciting period in the gold market. The gold price is up by several $100s an ounce. That must be pretty good news for a gold company with several million ounces, which you continue to grow. What do you see at this conference and elsewhere? Are you seeing more investor interest?
Absolutely. It's really great to come back to talk to my existing shareholders as well as new shareholders. And, I've had a few people tell me they're going to buy my stock or they're going to add to their position. It's great. That's what you want to hear when you're a miner. Certainly, I think we've delivered on what we said we were going to do, which is also important. 7 million ounces, as you said, our resource that we put out this spring in 2024 was a significant increase. And then we raised money this year and we've drilled 21,000 meters, which we've really focused on upgrading the resource, some of it indicated towards our PEA for 2025. So it's a real value add for us. And I really think it's going to be a great year for Banyan as we go into 2025.
So a lot of ounces added. I think for those who are new to the story, we should probably go back about 5 years because this is a brand new discovery that your team made. Was it
2019? Brand new discovery. Yeah, right underneath a power line beside a highway. And who knew that in 2019 when we drilled those 3 holes and then we financed in the fall of 2019, we drilled it out and we came back with a resource of 900,000 ounces. It's our first resource in 2020. So in the short time of 5 years, we've grown to 7 million ounces. That's a really rapid progression.
It has been because it went to about 4 million, right? And then last year we were talking about 6 million ounces, and then last spring that was updated to 7 million. So where were most of the ounces added the last year, and which part of the project did that?
Powerline. The Powerline deposit is really what's grown the most. Although this year we're drilling on Airstrip again, because remember Airstrip's higher grade, 0.75, and now that we're looking at different processing options, and they're actually looking more exciting, like the gravity flotation, Airstrip comes into play. So we knew we left some long sections of high grade starting right from surface when we stopped drilling that in 2020. So getting back to that after 4 years, we know both deposits are open and both deposits are open at depth. So the resource is a pit constrained resource only to 200 meters, but we've drilled mineralization all the way down to 650 meters. So, this deposit's really big.
Last time we were talking about the constraints of the project. You said you were looking at eventually doing some further step outs and trying to find where maybe the edges of this deposit are. Was that some work that was done last year, or are you still looking to do this?
So this year we really focused on the metallurgy, the portion of the deposit, like finding a portion of the deposit where you could mine, let's just say 2 million ounces of a gram with maybe a couple years at 1.4 to really give you your payback. So focus on what we need for the economics of the PEA. And then before we drilled those step outs, we thought, let's use all the information we had. So we did some 3D geophysics this year with Mira Geoscience, and we flew a ZTEM survey, which helps you look for the intrusion, which is the source of this deposit, which some of our nearby neighbors have found their intrusions. We're still in the hornfels above or around ours. So we thought before we drill those holes, let's get all the information. We thought we'd have it earlier in the season. It's turned out to be a bit later. So we're still waiting for the final report and some of the inversions that come out of that. So that's some of the exciting holes that we'll drill next year, and we're funded for them, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, we'll be doing lots of analysis over that over the winter, get some other opinions and, both proximal to the deposit with some of that 3D geophysics, and then across our 300 square kilometer land package. There's a lot of area for us left to explore.
So the 7 million ounces come from, is it 3 deposits?
2 deposits now. Powerline and Aurex Hill are contiguous, so they're now one Powerline deposit, and Airstrip is a secondary deposit.
Okay, so that was connected. You were mentioning last year, you just mentioned right now about the metallurgy. That's very important, the approach to things. So you've had success in different, how to process this ore. So what is it looking like right now? Which approach?
So we're continuing to do more metallurgy, but the 2 leading methods which show the highest recoveries and other optimization characteristics are the CIL-CIP with gravity, which is at 93%. We think we can get that up a bit higher. And then gravity flotation is currently at 84, and we're continuing to do optimization on that right now. So we do think we can get that up as well. But the gravity flotation is a nice option because it has a very low mass pull, 3.7. So let's say it's even less than 10%. That's a very low environmental footprint, a small tailings pond, a small amount that you process. So comparatively, it's not that much higher of a capital cost if you can start, and that's the kind of operation where you can start and then scale up. And then the CIL, which appeals to the larger mining companies. And this looks like some other deposits of some major mining companies. So, it's who are you designing the PEA for? Are you designing it for a small company that's very capital constrained? Or are you designing it for a company that says, hey, there's 7 million ounces and we can see 10 million on surface and it goes to depth, so this is a generational deposit? They're going to make different capital decisions. So it's going to be interesting as we move towards our PEA in 2025 when we make the selection for the project. And that itself could be a key catalyst. If there's interested parties that will build something different than us, will they wait until after the PEA, or will they come and talk to us? And, generally, once you have a PEA, you can actually start the permitting process. So that's, and we're ready for that. We've done the baseline data.
Wow, so this is really progressing here. This is a world-class deposit, so majors must be interested in a deposit that's more than 5 million plus ounces. This is quite unique. It hasn't been that many these kind of discoveries in the last 10, 15 some years. This is got to appeal to some very large mining companies.
We think it does, and particularly ones that are right beside a road and with a power line to a hydro dam that's already on the property. The hydro dam's only 50 kilometers away. That's a pretty exceptional discovery and deposit that, can probably be expedited versus many of the places that are in remote areas or in countries where it's a little bit more difficult to permit. You've got less security of tenure. We're in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good first world jurisdiction. There haven't been very many discoveries of our scale.
Absolutely. I mean, geopolitical risk is a big factor right now. The world is a little more uncertain. So the jurisdictional premium should come into a deposit like this. What do you see now that the gold price is increasing? Is interest in Yukon, is activity starting to really grow? I mean, I can't imagine you discovering this kind of deposit. There must be all sorts of people even going around your project trying to stake and look for something similar, because this is an amazing size.
Well, this whole belt of rock, we've seen exciting discoveries with Snowline and Sitka. We're all the same style of deposit. Key thing, we just haven't found our intrusion yet. I think there's lots of people looking, and we see the whole Yukon is undervalued after some of the challenges with the neighbor and the failure or the rock slide that occurred. So that's depressed all of our prices. I think we're still disproportionately depressed compared to some of our neighbors as we continue to show people we're an independent company. We're completely financially independent. We've got a great deposit, and we're probably a different processing method than they have just because of the grade and the location. So, as that starts to clear, we're trading at $10 an ounce or $5 an ounce enterprise value at this gold price. And, our peers to the east are over 100, and I think Snowline's closer to $250 an ounce. So I think that gives us an opportunity to re-rate potentially faster than some of the other companies.
Yeah, I noticed in the summer when this issue happened, Victoria Gold, all the Yukon companies got hit. So it's very important. It's taking time for investors to understand what happened and how this is separate and it's not related to what you're doing, that this is a separate company, and there was just a general fear reaction to what happened.
And understandably so. We've seen the government have some very clear messaging. This is an isolated incident. We anticipate having a brief pause in heap leach permitting until the independent panel comes out. But if we're not a heap leach, that probably doesn't change. The permitting process in the Yukon is already very rigorous. We have the YESA environmental assessment process, which First Nations participate in. That already is fairly rigorous. Maybe there'll be some minor changes in technical requirements or processes, but the process is unlikely to change given it's part of the land claim agreement. So I think that, we may see some slightly longer timelines on permitting, but ultimately the government and other First Nations in the Yukon have said, including this First Nation, have said mining's important to us. It's important to the community and the economy of the Yukon. And so I think that bodes well for the other miners in the Yukon.
Yeah, it's nice to even see here at the show. We have the ambassador from Canada to Switzerland here, speaking and being quite supportive of what's happening in Canada mining. It's very important to the economy and to the growth, and especially in places like Yukon. So let's talk about the year ahead. You said PEA is coming. You're funded for drilling. Give us a little more details on what what the program will look like?
Sure. So,
Obviously,
we
you're
just
still-
finished drilling, and so we're still even cutting core and logging core on site, and that'll continue for another couple weeks until we shut down our camp, probably closer to the end of November. So we're one of the unusual companies that's year-round in the Yukon if we want to be. We are shutting down this year because we've completed everything that we need to do to go into that PEA. So we'll have news flow into roughly March, April with drill results, more metallurgical results. We'll update our resource in May, June globally, which will then be used in our PEA, which will be completed before December. Meanwhile, we'll start drilling May, June, July. We'll have drilling, complete that by the fall, and probably have news flow into 2026 from our drill results. So, it should be a pretty catalyst-rich year for our shareholders.
Well, lots of value being added by the drill bit. The gold price is now helping. Exciting year ahead. So looking forward to these big milestones being achieved. It's already been an incredible run in the last several years.
Well, imagine what prices you can use in your PEAs and even in the sensitivity tables. And
yes,
that's going to be really interesting in itself.
I've noticed a lot of companies still using $1,700 or $2,000 gold. So it'll be nice. I mean,
we used $1,800 in our resource, but I've seen people use $2,150 in a recent PEA, and I'm like, well, that's a bit aggressive. But the 3-year trailing average pretty soon is going to be $2,300 gold. So that's a really big change in the economics for lots of projects.
All right, Tara, thank you very much for taking time and giving us an update, and looking forward to following up with you next year.
Thank you. Look forward to it.